What is up? Welcome back. 2024-25 NBA season previews. I almost just botched that. My name is Matt Hanifan. I'm here with Jiarmani DePena. Today we're going to be doing the Portland Trailblazers, who, if you want to talk about botching things, they botched a lot of things last year, finishing 21-61. Actually, not. I mean, they didn't really botch a whole lot. I'm just giving them a hard time. They were the worst team in the Western Conference. But before we jump into everything, Jiarmani, man, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey, I'm pretty good. I feel pretty happy with the fantasy draft last night. I feel like that went really well. I had a great time. But
Did you draft any
nope.
Blazers? I don't remember who drafted who.
Ooh, did I draft any
Did you
Blazers?
draft dominating?
I don't think I took any Portland Trail Blazers players, honestly. But
Okay. You
maybe
didn't
I
draft
should have.
Scoot?
I don't know.
Actually, no. When I think I looked at it, I think Bagdonis drafted Scoot. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
But how
But
you doing? Like,
I
sorry to
mean,
cut you off and interrupt you, but
no, it's all good. I'm doing great. I would say I'm probably doing better than how Portland Trailblazers fans feel about their team going into the season, depending on like your perspective of it all. But I would say that I am doing great. It's nice. The NBA's back today as the time of recording. Celtics play in like hour and 30 minutes, so I'm pretty happy. But all is good in the world with me, so I'm ready to talk about the Portland Trailblazers.
no, man, I'm doing good too. I'm doing good too. Yeah, the
That's
Trailblazers
always great to hear,
not
man.
so, yeah, not so good for the Portland Trailblazers last year. 21-61, they were the worst team in the Western Conference. After drafting Scoot Henderson, they did make a trade last offseason where they were involved in the three-team Damian Lillard trade. Obviously, well, Damian Lillard got sent to Milwaukee, but they in the three-team trade they got back. They got DeAndre Ayton was like the centerpiece of it. They did also get Malcolm Brogdon. Um, there's been cloud there's been like rumors this offseason with Jeremy Grant potentially being traded. He signed, I think, like a 5-year extension last offseason. If I can remember, it was either last off. I want to say it was last offseason where he signed like that big like 4 or 5 year extension. Um, there's also been cloud about like is Anthony Simons going to get potentially traded? Like they have some obviously some pieces that you know are movable. They did acquire Denny Avdia this offseason. From the Washington Wizards, they traded 2 first-round picks, including the number 14 overall pick, um, plus Malcolm Brogdon to Washington in exchange for Denny. I mean, he's one of the better, young wings in the entire league, even though he's been stashed in Washington for the last 4 years. But he's a solid player. He's just continued to improve over time. But I guess what were your thoughts on them last season? Uh, Last off season when they traded Dame and what they got back, and where do you kind of see them after this off season now that we know what we know?
It's very odd to sign someone like Jeremy Grant to as big of an extension as they did, with the idea that you were going to end up trading Dame ultimately. So it just seems like they were kind of playing both sides. But I would say if you weren't keeping Dame, it kind of didn't make sense to sign Jeremy to that extension. But at least at this point now, it's kind of like you're. I don't know when, in fact, they would try to trade him, but I do like the fact they kind of locked in Anthony Simons. I think he's a good quality guard in the NBA. I think obviously he has like that score first mentality, and he's kind of he's that guy on Portland that was kind of like somebody who had to score a bunch of points anyway. Like the buckets were gonna have to come from somewhere. Um, and for Portland, it's real. Obviously, it was a retooling phase that they're in now, and you bring in DeAndre Ayton, and people were kind of hoping that he would be able to kind of break through, kind of like that glass ceiling he was in. Like people were anticipating him to be like a 20-10 guy, finally going over to Portland in a different situation, with his tenure in Phoenix, kind of going kind of like unceremoniously with a lot of stuff that was happening behind the scenes over there. Um, but yeah, I feel like they have some guys like picking up Advia for the upcoming season. I like him. He seems like he's a 6'9" point forward in a sense. It's like he was doing some good stuff in Washington, albeit it was Washington. And then I feel like they have like some good quality pieces over there. So like they're like obviously I don't think they're going to be you know remotely competitive. Like you're just hoping that you get like some of these guys that I mentioned. You hope Denny takes a step. You hope Anthony Simons kind of keeps up his value to eventually, like to your point, eventually get traded, or Aiton kind of like starts breaking through and kind of shows him to be like, even though he's still a quality player, I think it's like the expectations on him have been like I mean, obviously, to be fair, he was the first overall pick a couple of years ago. So, like, you're kind of anticipating like a 20-10 season at some point, or you're anticipating him to break through. But yeah, I feel like for Portland, like they have some good pieces to build with, but also they have some good pieces that can eventually be traded off. So like last season, obviously they weren't great, and I don't think they're going to be great going into this year. But I'm hoping that things kind of start falling more into place, because like Portland, like I feel like Portland's closer to getting kind of like bouncing back off this Damian Lillard trade and all that stuff a lot sooner than people may give them credit for. But yeah, I'm intrigued by Portland this year, even though I don't think they're going to make a whole lot of noise.
I even forgot about this, maybe intentionally, unintentionally, however you want to phrase it, considering I'm a Heat fan. I also forgot about the Drew Holiday part of this whole entire thing. Like when they get Drew Holiday back for Damian Lillard, I did mention that earlier. And then they were able to get back Brogdon and Robert Williams, who just can't stay healthy. He's never been healthy his entire career, unfortunately for him. But they were able to get those guys back in the Drew Holiday deal, which obviously Drew Holiday got sent to Boston just days before training camp, and they win the title. They win 80 plus games, become like the 14th ever franchise to do that. Drew Holiday, how special of a player he is, what he meant to Milwaukee, what he meant to his previous stops like New Orleans and whatnot. And so I didn't even mention that part of it. So I beg your pardon, the audience. I think the most important guy that you didn't mention, whose development is crucial given where they picked him and given the expectations heading into last season, was Scoot Henderson. He averaged 14 points on 38.5% shooting, barely 32% from deep. Like he had a rough year. Like you can just tell, like for him, like he picked up, I think, a little bit in the second half of the season, but like his start was really rough. Like you can tell, like the bumps along the road just with his size, and like sometimes he had a hard time finding, where to get his shots, and he had a difficult time, I think, playmaking, and like he averaged 5.5 assists, but he also averaged, over 3 turnovers like that. Something, I mean, obviously it's a first year point guard, and like, he's kind of the guy there, or one of the guys there. In addition to some of the other pieces that they have, like Simons, like Grant, but he was obviously the guy that you're looking to build around for the next however many years. And it was a disappointing season for him, and he was a guy that I was just very surprised didn't play in summer league, and he's tried to get more reps, even though, like, yeah, you don't always want your second year players playing in summer league because one, they're just so much better than the other competition, but two, I mean, it risk of injury, even though you can get injured at any given moment doing really literally anything. And so maybe that wasn't as much of a factor, but I was just hoping that he would get, some additional reps, in-game reps. I think one of the most crucial parts to player development is live game reps. And even though it is summer league against, you're facing other, rookies, second round rookies, undrafted rookies, guys who are trying to fight for their life, just as professional basketball players, and trying to make the NBA, like that. That's the competition you're facing, but there's certain guys who go over there to just try to get some reps in, and whether it was just one game or 2 games or 3, like I was just hoping he would get some additional reps there. So he didn't do that. I was a little bit surprised about that piece of it, but I think his development will be really, really crucial heading into this new season, because it's like they no longer have a guy like Malcolm Brogdon there to take the pressure off him, and to give him that, I guess, veteran mentorship or whatnot. But like, I'm hoping you get like it's the exact opposite of a sophomore slump. It's a sophomore leap. Like I hope you can get like a sophomore leap in there, and be, a productive second year player, because being a top 3 pick, like there's a lot of baggage that comes to that. Like, yeah, being the number 1 overall pick is different in and of itself, but you still want to obviously hit on those picks right after that. And like I think could be like, I just want to see like better efficiency, better decision making, picking your spots a little bit better, helping run that offense more fluidly than you did last year. Like those are just things I want to see from him specifically. And it's just not like I want to see him do it like, in a game or two. Like I want to see, like, you want to stack performances. You want to be more consistent with that. And so in addition to what, Simons can bring to the table, in addition to what Denny can bring to the table, in addition to what guys like Jeremy Grant can bring to the table, like even Donovan Clingan, who was, I think, their number 7 overall pick, what he can bring to the table is this big shot blocking center, who has national championship pedigree, being a two-time national champion when he was at UConn. Like, he was one of the best prospects in the entire draft. Fell to 7. They got him to kind of add to a collection of a lot of centers. But like what he can bring to the table could be very important to Scoot. Like, there's just a bunch of guys who, in addition to what they can bring, I just want to see Scoot take that next leap.
No, yeah, I want to see that too. Like, the thing with Scoot, like if you remember kind of his draft profile going into the year he was going before last season, people were saying he was a running back playing point guard, like how big and strong this kid was. And like, to your point, like I feel like at least nowadays people I feel like are kind of desensitized to the fact that a lot of these guys coming into the league, this is their first time really dealing with like you're playing grown men. So like guys who have been doing this and they're doing this for a living, and like if they play bad, they're out of the league, that kind of thing. And like not every top prospect is gonna hit right out the gate. You can think of countless players that play horrible to start off their year or start off their career, and then they kind of find their footing, and then they don't look back. So obviously, like not everyone's gonna be like Luka Doncic and average 21, 6, and 7 in his first year. Like, and like to your point, yeah, like Scoot it's gonna be really important to kind of see how like he comes into the season. Like, and I saw reports like he hasn't really altered his game all too much going into like when it was like summer league and preseason. People were saying like the same issues were kind of still there, but like again to your point, it seems like just I feel like he'll probably find his footing more and more within like the flow of the game. And that Klingon kid, like I think is going to be a really nice addition to this group, and especially if Ayton kind of doesn't kind of like take that leap that maybe people are kind of hoping for in his second season in Portland, that maybe they end up at some point in the season maybe move on from Ayton, send him somewhere, and then allow Donovan to kind of slide in to be like starting 5. But again, like that's over the course. But another thing I would want to mention about the Portland Trailblazers from last year is that they were, so when the final year of Dame, they were 10th in attendance. And then last season, they were 13th. So the passion of the fan base is still there, even without, probably the greatest player in franchise history. So like there's still that investment. So even though Portland isn't a big market, it still has a very passionate fan base. Like people are still going to the games and people are still invested in the team. So like I would say it's a big market for like a young player in that aspect. So I can kind of feel the pressure for like somebody like Scoot Henderson to come in and play well. But I feel at the same time, it's like, I feel like with Scoot, you kind of have to give it time to kind of see exactly what you get. I try to like grade these guys on like the first few years because like they're still in their early 20s. Again, like it's real easy to be like, oh, what have you done for me lately kind of thing. But again, it's like, I feel like he's shown good quality, like has good quality characteristics of what makes a point guard. Like not every guard in the NBA can average 5 assists, and he did it in his rookie year. Like there's some positives to take away for somebody like him.
To some extent, yeah. Just a couple other guys that I want to mention that I didn't mention before, like Shaden Sharp. I think he's going to be started. I think he's banged up a little bit. He's going to be starting. I don't know if he's going to start their first game, but he's someone who's, I think, really taken like solid steps over his first 2 NBA seasons. Duop Reith and Tamani Kamara, who I thought were 2 of their best bigs last year, guys that I'm hoping to continue to progress, even though they have a lot of big men there, which I do think could be a consolidation move there, whether it is trading Ayton if you can find some team that's willing to take him, or if you can even trade like a Robert Williams who's making roughly $13 million this year, even though he's been consistently injured throughout most of his career. Again, which is unfortunate for him. Delano Banton, Chris Murray. Chris Murray's going to be entering his second season, so I'm interested to see how he, grows. Jabari Walker, Ryan Rupert, just a few other guys of note who I'm just keeping an eye on, just worth mentioning. Where do you see this team? Like, do you see them being the worst team in the West this upcoming season? Like, I know we aren't very bullish on this team. Like, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. But like, where's your kind of head at with them heading into this new season?
I could see them being roughly around like kind of like the same kind of win total. Like maybe they'll probably take a little bit more of a lead. I don't see them being like, oh, they're gonna be well under 20 wins, that kind of thing. I think I could see them being like around like a 25 win team. Like take a little bit of a leap. in that aspect. And that's just more of like if everyone kind of only takes like a small leap. But I think the record isn't going to be like telling the whole story. Like, yeah, they may be bad, but then like guys may be having good seasons. Like, but like at the same time, like say like Denny, for example, I feel like if he's going to be getting consistent like starter minutes, I think he's going to really be like probably the breakout candidate for this team. Even though like you're kind of expecting other guys like, you know, Scoot and some of the other young guys that you mentioned to kind of like take another step forward. I think for him in terms of the opportunity that he kind of showed in a small sample in Washington, I think he has the best chance to kind of really like build his stock up in terms of production. So I would say he's someone to look out for. But I think in either case, like, yeah, the team isn't like, you know, the team isn't good like yet. I'd say just keep it blunt, but like they have building blocks, and it's all about like, you know, it's taking it year to year. So I could see them more optimistically thinking like they could be a 25-win team.
That is an optimistic approach. I don't necessarily have them at 25 wins yet. I think they're still around like 20-ish wins. I think they can even creep below that. Again, like there's so many teams throughout the league where they were bad last year. And I just think the Cooper Flag thing. You can get Cooper Flag in your building, or even like a guy like Ace Bailey or VJ Edgecombe, or you know, someone of that ilk. Then you're sitting pretty. And I know the Cooper Flag is like he's the prize diamond, but there's some other really good consolation prizes, I should say, in this top 5, top 10 lottery of this next upcoming class. And I think, obviously, Portland's going to be a team who wants that. I think they have their pick. I'm pretty sure they have their pick.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts on the Portland Trailblazers before we get out of here?
I would say they're going to be kind of like, I wouldn't say the young team on the rise, like they won't be arriving pretty like soon, but I would say they have a lot of people on this roster that like you can keep your eye on and think like, oh, he can have like a pretty good season going into the year. And obviously this team might not even look remotely the same, maybe come trade deadline this year. But also if they bring in Cooper, then that allows them to like play with house money a little bit and be able to kind of ship off maybe some guys they were optimistic about, but now you have the guy you want to build around now, that you can kind of afford to like make these guys a more expendable and make your assets a little bit more expendable too. So, I mean, hey, they just have to hit on one draft, and then you can say this about any team that's kind of like in the gutter. You hit on one great prospect, and then now you're starting to play with house money going forward.
That could be Cooper Flag. I mean,
exactly.
I'm guessing some probably thought in lieu of the Dame trade it was Scoot Henderson, but obviously you want to continue to stack that ship a little bit. I just looked on Tankathon. They do have their pick. It was a top 14 protected pick. I couldn't remember if it was this year, you know, a couple years where I'm pretty sure, but yeah, they have this year's pick. I just think, again, Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, any of these other guys, Nolan Traore, who's like a French prospect, like there's going to be some prospects at the top of this next draft that people are going to like a lot. In addition to plenty others. I think that's going to do it, man. My name is Matt. This is Jiarmani. Please go check out all of our Vendetta Sports Media content, our NBA season previews on the YouTube channel at Vendetta Media, the banner coming across your screen, in addition to what we have on vendettasportsmedia.com. Whether it's, you know, MLB, the World Series is starting up on Friday, college football, NFL, obviously the NBA season. Please go check out all of our NBA content plus our season previews there. James does a great job with the UFC content. Anything that you can think of, please go check it out on vendettasportsmedia.com. NHL season started last week or 2 weeks ago. My name is Matt. This is Jiarmani. See y'all next time. Thanks for watching.